All right, what's going on, folks? Your friendly neighborhood old soldier coming at you again today from Robeson County, North Carolina. Uh, Been AWOL for a few days this week. I know. My apologies. Part of it just been down under the weather with my back, and then uh, had our grandson for a few days because my son-in-law tore something in his shoulder, and my daughters had to take him everywhere. Don't get me wrong, I love keeping him. Not to mention birthday and anniversary this past weekend, so been a little busy and just kind of got off my schedule. But I want to get back onto it today. Real brief, and I know I'm preaching to the choir with most everybody that watches this channel, but I want to give you call it an analogy, a comparison. And it's going to sound silly when I lay this out, but bear with me. It goes to the attitudes of the majority of Americans today. You're like, "Oh, soldier, where are you going with this?" Just bear with. There's still a large group of conservative Americans that, they are wholeheartedly adamant that big government's still going to save them. There's a whole bunch of lib turds out there that big government's the only solution. That the government will right itself. Instead, we all know that watch this channel, the government is lying to us, along with their cronies in big media. What I'm getting at is, if you're familiar with the children's Harry Potter stories, you're like, "Oh, old soldier, what are you talking about now? You are way, way off tangent." No, not really. I don't know much about J.K. Rowling, the lady that wrote Harry Potter. I know she is not a fan of all the transgender, transracial, trans animal, whatever, She calls it kind of like it is. Men are men, women are women. Okay? And she's taking some flack for it. Now it's a tangent. But anyway, if you watch the series of movies, or if you have children that are the same age as mine that read the books when they were going through school, what you're going to see here in this comparison that I'm making is this. Initially we see this threat that, we thought was vanquished and would never raise its ugly head here in this country. Communism. We rousted it out of this country in the 50s and kept it out in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and the 2000s. All along, George Soros started funding communist-minded groups to overthrow our government, our economy, collapse our nation, like he'd done in many other places around the world already. But we were here secure in our nation, secure in our way of thought, our way of life, our way of doing things. So secure to the point that we didn't want to hear the truth. What do you mean? Well, as the series of movies progresses, Harry, the main character, has dealings with this Lord Voldemort. He's this big evil wizard that's going to take over the wizard world, the muggle world, and make it his own, a dark empire. Kind of much like what communism's intent is. And as these movies progress, we see the Ministry of Magic, which is the government in the magic world, lying to the people. There is no threat. Indoctrinating the kids in schools. You don't need to know defense against the dark arts spells. You just need to know very few spells, this, that, and the other. And any such intolerance to what the government says will result in strict punishment. I.e. the one episode where the chick in the pink dress was hurting kids when they'd lie in class, or she'd accuse them of lying, that kind of thing. And her whole thing was, making herself look good locally in power and taking out of power the true and the righteous people that were trying to save the children, i.e. Dumbledore and Hagrid and such so forth. Yeah, I know way too much about Harry Potter, folks, but I had 3 kids that grew up watching it, so you kind of watch along and you learn things. But that's our nation today. The majority of Americans do not want to look beyond what's on TV, beyond what's on ABC, CBS, NBC, and realize that we're being lied to and manipulated. They are still in this comfort zone of, well, false security is more like it, of it's going to right itself. Well, I can't believe that we would do that to our own nation. We can't believe that communism will be allowed. But, there's rumors and telltale evidence that the UN's in Canada right now on the border. There's a news article even where the president, the thief in chief, was wanting the UN's advice on racial equality issues and how to fix it in this country. And again, I know the majority that watch this channel have already seen these things coming. And I share this with you that maybe you might be able to sit down and share this with somebody that's still in their little bubble, thinking that it's going to, the ship's going to right itself in the next election. The ship's going to right itself here in the very near future. And the ship's going to right itself when Donald Trump gets reelected in 2024. As much as I liked what he was doing, Donald Trump is but one man. And sadly, too many people put their faith in him. And they took their eye off the real target, which is keeping America free. They thought that Trump could do it all. I'm not saying that Trump didn't accomplish a lot. He did. I'll give credit where credit's due. I'm just saying too many people put too much blind faith in President Trump. Even myself, at some point in time, I think relied too much on what he was going to do, or what he thought he was going to do. I guess that's the difference with me and some other conservatives. They can admit when I'm wrong, and where some of them in the mainstream media, they still tout that they're always right and they're never wrong. Anyway. Just wanted to share that with you. And if you don't realize that, go watch all 7 of the Harry Potter movies and watch how it progresses. Watch how the Ministry of Magic keeps trying to deny the people until finally we see in one of the movies, and I can't remember which one it was, but we finally see that the evidence is irrefutable, that Voldemort has returned, and the whole magic world's being turned upside down. He's going to take over. He's going to rule by fear and force, and we see it almost happen. The difference being, my friends, is that is a work of fiction. We live in reality, and we need to wake up. All right. God bless. Take care. Anywho, anyhow, anyway, that's for you, Brother Kyle. And we'll talk to y'all soon. See you, old soldier out.